Hi everybody, welcome to our next Tech Tuesday. It's Spencer again. I am here, hi, but I'm going to keep the camera off the screen this week. Some people have told me that even if it isn't covering things up, they like to see what's going on, especially in Windows down here. So we'll leave it off for this week, see how it goes. Let me know what you think. If you'd like the camera to be on, I can go back to doing that for these full screen desktop recordings. Anyways, last week we talked about Time Machine, a backup utility for Mac OS. This week we're talking about more backups, specifically for Windows, local backups. Next week we'll talk about cloud services like Carbonite and Backblaze. But this week we're still talking about local data backups. There are a lot of programs for Windows that do this. I've picked one. I don't even know how to pronounce it, the AOMEI backupper. It's great. I use it a lot myself on my personal computer, and it's very simple. It's free. There are some more robust paid backup softwares for Windows that I'm not going to cover because I think a lot of the people viewing this video probably would not need to take advantage of a lot of what the paid services offer that this free one doesn't. Again, to reiterate a lot of what we talked about last week, our goal here is just to copy our data. We want to have it in two places, not just on our computer, so that if anything happens, we haven't actually lost anything. So you need an external hard drive. We talked about that last week. I don't have one plugged into the computer right now just because of where I am and the equipment that I have connected to the computer to record the video. However, that's not the one I wanted. Here, it'll be listed down here below your internal hard drive once you have one plugged in. We talked about it last week. It's a pretty straightforward process. Get that connected. I'll have a link to download this program in the description. Just go to the link, install it, you download a file and click on it. It's really straightforward there as well. And then you'll come here to this screen. We want to make a backup, a full system backup. So we'll dive right into the backup section. You can specify only specific files to backup using this software. Click in here and then you can add folders or files by browsing here if you only want to back up specific things. But while we're on this theme of making a backup in general, I believe everyone should have a full system backup one way or another. So we're going to talk about the full system backup. A few things to note on this screen here. It looks like there are 3 different hard drives listed. Step 1 is selecting the drive that we want to make the backup of. But really there's only one, and a couple smaller parts of it split off. You want to look for one called C. Unless you've done something weird to change where the default boot drive of your computer is, it'll be called C. And if you've done that, chances are you don't need to be watching this video. You already know how to do this stuff. So we'll click on C. We can call this whatever we want. And click on C. And then we're down to step 2. Normally when you have an external hard drive connected to your computer, it would be listed right here under devices and drives. I don't have one, like I said, because of the equipment I've got plugged into the computer, but you would just click right there on your external hard drive and it would get slipped right into this slot. If you only want to make one backup and you want to do it manually, you can just click Start Backup. This backupper will run. Takes a while for the first one, and depends on how much data you have on the computer and things like that. But once it gets everything done, it'll all be stored on your external hard drive, packed up in one nice folder, so that if anything were to happen to your computer or your hard drive, you could easily restore it here, which is pretty much just a reverse process of what we just did. It'll list your backups and you click on one and dump everything back onto the computer. But there's one more thing we need to dive into before we actually create this backup, and that's the schedule. Last week I talked about how great Time Machine is because of how automatic it is. backs up hourly for the last 24 hours, daily for the last week, and then weekly and monthly backups for as far back as the drive has space. Now, any backup utility will be able to do that, whether it's configured as default or not. This one can do it. It's right here under schedule. For starters, you can back up only monthly or weekly if you want. I don't recommend that if you're on a frequently used computer, especially a work computer that you use on a daily basis. I don't even recommend daily backups. I like to back up more often than that, if you're in a position to. Obviously, if you're out on the road and aren't sitting down at a desk, it's more difficult. But as long as you have your external hard drive plugged into the computer, you want it to be backing up every time you change something. So what I like to do is not just run once every day, but run once an hour. And let's say I want to run once an hour whenever I'm at my desk. So 9 to 5. 1 hour from 9 to 5, every 1 hour, AOMEI backupper will create a new backup. It'll log any changes that I've made since the last backup and create a current full system backup of my computer. So I say okay, and now we're ready. This is where we would click on Start Backup. It wouldn't work right now because we don't have an external drive plugged in, like I said before, and again, apologies for that. But there's nothing else to it. You start the backup, everything saves to the external hard drive. It'll let you know when it's done. It'll have an icon running down here if you don't have the program open. And then you're done. Like I said with Time Machine last week, once you have it configured, you don't need to worry about it. Backups are one of the most important things that you can do if there's any information at all that's important to you on your computer. Whether you're on Mac, Windows, even on a cell phone, backing up those we'll talk about sometime later. Data loss is a real problem. It happens all the time, and it doesn't happen when you expect it's going to. So please, if you don't have a backup system already in place, use Time Machine, use the AOMEI backupper. Wait till next week, we'll talk about some cloud-based services that do not require an external hard drive, but get something in place to save your data and keep it safe. Once again, I'm Spencer.Waizecker, an IT support specialist with Kline May Realty, and we'll see you next week.